What if I told you that something seemingly small in married life was actually the silent reason why many elderly couples gradually lose their intimate connection? It's not because the love is gone, and it's not because their health no longer allows it. It's simply because both are hesitant to speak up. Many silently hide their concerns, avoid topics considered sensitive, especially when it comes to intimacy after 60, until the distance between them grows wider. According to a 2023 survey in the US, up to 62% of people over 60 still have the desire to be loved and physically close. Yet most don't share this with their spouse, for fear of being judged, for thinking they're no longer attractive, or simply because they believe, "I'm old, so it doesn't matter anymore." But don't give up just yet. In today's video, Dr. Samuel Grant will help you explore an entirely different perspective on intimacy in old age. Even just a gentle hug, a soft touch, or an act once thought to be no longer appropriate like oral sex, if it happens at the right time with understanding and consent, can still become the most profound spiritual bond between two people who have journeyed together for a lifetime. And I hope you won't skip the very first part of this video, because we're about to clarify a seemingly simple question, but one that causes many couples to stay silent and grow apart. Is intimacy at the age of 60 or 70 still appropriate? The answer might surprise you, because sometimes just a small shift in mindset is enough to help two people rediscover a love they thought was lost. But before we dive deeper, I'd love to get to know you better. Where are you watching from? Please leave a comment below this video, because I'd be truly happy knowing I'm not just speaking, but sharing this journey with someone who's really listening. If this is your first time visiting my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the upcoming videos, where we explore how to live healthier, stay closer, and be happier every day, even after 60. And now, if you're ready to set aside the unspoken hesitations of long-term relationships, join me as we begin the very first part right now. Part 1. Intimacy after 60, is it still appropriate? At age 60, many people assume that physical intimacy in marriage is no longer important, that it gives way to concerns about health, grandchildren, or simply resting. But what I've seen in my clinic tells a completely different story. Many elderly couples still want closeness, to cuddle, to touch each other, as a way of holding onto warmth and emotional connection after decades together. However, instead of being something natural like it was in youth, intimacy in old age often comes with hesitation, fear, and sometimes even shame. Some worry their bodies are no longer attractive, others fear being judged as having inappropriate desires at their age. These thoughts lead many couples to remain silent, to avoid the topic, and gradually lose a sacred form of connection in their relationship. What's sad is that the lack of intimacy doesn't stem from a loss of desire, but from the fact that neither person dares to express that desire. Over time, this unspoken distance grows larger, leading to a sense of loneliness, even while sharing the same home. So must we give up intimacy just because we've aged? Or can we find another way, slower, gentler, but deeper, to hold on to the feeling of loving and being loved? And now, let's explore the silent yet common cause of growing distance between older couples who still live together every day. Dear viewer, if you're still watching at this point, I'm truly glad, because it means you genuinely care about your life partner. Please leave the number 1 in the comments below so I know you're still with me. Part 2. The walls of silence that create distance. If you've ever sat across from an elderly couple during a consultation like I have, you'd realize what separates them isn't illness, isn't age, but silence. Both have things they want to say, but neither dares to begin. The wife fears she's no longer attractive, while the husband hesitates to bring up his desire for intimacy, afraid it may be seen as inappropriate. And so they live side by side but no longer touch. Not because the love is gone, but because neither has the courage to break the wall called awkwardness. I once met a couple nearing 70 who hadn't been intimate in over 10 years. They still cared for each other, had breakfast together, went to the market together. But when I asked, "When was the last time you hugged each other?" they looked at each other for a long while and couldn't answer. These silences may seem harmless, but they are the quiet cracks that make the relationship grow cold. And if they go unnoticed, the couple will gradually become roommates instead of true husband and wife. But here's the good news. When one person begins to open up, the other is often willing to listen. So in the next part, I'll share with you an important truth. Intimacy in old age is no longer about instinct, but about emotional presence and conscious choice. Part 3, Intimacy in Old Age, no longer instinct but presence. In youth, people often love with impulsiveness and instinct. But after 60, when the body has slowed down, when desires are no longer as intense as before, intimacy becomes an expression of presence. Presence here means truly being there with your gaze, your breath, your every touch. It's when you don't do something just to get it over with, but to truly listen to each other's body and emotions. It's when a simple handhold, a shoulder to lean on, a whispered word, can carry a deeper sense of connection than a passionate night. A woman once told me, "I don't need my husband to be as strong as he used to be anymore. I just need to feel seen and loved, even if it's just through a gentle look." And I believe that is also the desire of many elderly wives. When you see intimacy as a way to express love, not as a duty, you'll realize you don't need to be perfect to be loved. You only need to be real and willing to be present with one another. And so that these emotions don't just stay in words, let's move on to the next part, where emotional bonding becomes the prerequisite for any intimacy after 60. Dear viewer, if you're still watching this video until now, thank you for patiently staying with me this far. I truly appreciate that. Please leave the number 3 in the comment section so I know I'm not speaking alone. Part 4. Emotional bonding, the prerequisite. Just because you want to be intimate doesn't mean it can happen easily. At this age, the body may slow down, hormones may decline, but emotions are the spark that reignites connection. A wife who feels abandoned, a husband who feels unappreciated, even just through the smallest things like a glance, a tone of voice, or the way you listen, can all diminish physical connection. That's why before thinking about getting back into the bedroom, ask yourself, are we emotionally connected in our daily life? A hug from behind while your wife is washing dishes, a simple "you look beautiful today," even if her hair has turned gray. These seemingly small gestures can nourish the feeling of being loved, being missed, and being desired. Only when both people feel emotionally safe, not judged, not pressured, can their bodies naturally welcome each other again. And from that strong emotional foundation, we will continue to explore this. When a woman is loved the right way, what changes, not just in her body but in her eyes, her smile, and her faith in love? Part 5. When a woman is loved the right way, her natural beauty shines. Many people mistakenly believe that after 60, when the skin is wrinkled and the figure is no longer the same, a woman gradually loses her allure. But the truth is, a woman who is loved the right way will naturally radiate from within. I once witnessed a woman over 65 who avoided intimacy because she thought her body was not beautiful enough. But then her husband, a calm and gentle man, simply said, "I don't need you to be the way you were, I just need you to still be here with me." And her eyes changed. She smiled for the first time in years. The right kind of love doesn't come from flowery words, but from small actions. A thoughtful touch without calculation, a gaze without judgment, a patience full of tenderness. These are the things that help a woman regain her confidence, her softness, and even the desire that had once been buried. And when that gentleness is nurtured daily, it becomes a loving habit. And that is exactly what we'll explore in the next part. The small daily actions that can naturally and sustainably rekindle intimacy between husband and wife. Part 6. Small daily actions, the key to maintaining intimacy. It's easy to think that maintaining intimacy requires romantic dates or grand plans. But after the age of 60, it's the small things repeated every day that truly keep the fire alive. A morning hug, a surprise message when your spouse is at a medical appointment, a cup of tea prepared in the late afternoon, all are silent expressions of care. No need to be showy, no need to say much, just consistency. I once advised a husband to write his wife a short note each day. After just 2 weeks, the wife told me, "I feel loved like when we first got married." Well, physical intimacy cannot be forced. It is the result of an emotional connection. And the wonderful thing is, you can start with the smallest gestures today, right now. Once loving habits are formed, the next step is to create a safe space where both people can express their emotions without fear of being hurt. Let's continue exploring that in the next part. Part 7, a safe space where both can be themselves. At the age of 60, people no longer need dramatic love stories or intense displays. What they need is a place where they can let go of their guard to be themselves, genuinely and fully. A safe space is where the wife can say, "I'm tired today," without fear of being misunderstood. It's where the husband can share his worries. "I'm afraid I'm not like I used to be," without being seen as weak. When there's no longer a need to play a role, the wife who must please her husband, the husband who must be strong, only then can real connection happen. Intimacy is no longer an obligation, but a choice born from trust and empathy. Such a space cannot be built overnight. It needs to be nurtured with listening, patience, and forgiveness. But once it exists, it becomes a strong foundation for love to blossom again, gently and naturally. And to wrap up this journey, let me invite you to the final part, where we view intimacy not as instinct, but as an art of connection between two people who have journeyed together through the years. Part 8, Intimacy no longer instinct, but an art of connection. After many years together, sex is no longer simply a primal urge. It becomes an art of connection, shared by two people who have endured challenges together, who understand each other even without words. It doesn't have to be as passionate as in your 20s. It doesn't need to be strong or long, just sincere, timely, and full of emotion. Sometimes it's just sitting beside each other and holding hands for a while. Sometimes it's resting your head on their shoulder or a caring question before bedtime. And if both are ready, physical closeness will come gently, not forced, but as a natural part of mature love. Sex after 60 is not something to be hidden, nor something you have to try hard to preserve. It is a gift, one that only those who know how to love deeply and slow down can truly appreciate. Dear viewers, we've just gone through a journey that is both deeply personal and incredibly necessary, where intimacy is no longer something too awkward to talk about, but becomes an essential part of emotional, mental, and marital well-being in later life. You've now seen that after 60, intimacy is no longer about raw instinct, but about the subtle connection between two seasoned souls. It's a time when a look, a light touch, or simply listening at the right moment can become the spark that rekindles love. And you've also come to understand that intimacy doesn't have to start from passion. It can begin with small daily acts of care, a morning cup of tea, a few kind words during fatigue, or a soft whisper. I'm still here. That alone can dissolve distance. Love after 60 doesn't need to be intense, it just needs to be sincere. And if you're willing to nurture it through understanding, gentleness, and sometimes patience, then intimacy won't just return, it will become deeper than ever before. If today's video touched something inside you, I sincerely hope you'll continue to join me in future videos. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss helpful content on health, psychology, and family happiness after 60. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I wish you and your life partner peace, good health, and a lasting, gentle connection in every moment you share together.